Greetings, everybody! Welcome to Dracovin Empire. I hope you're ready to dive back into the world of darkness once more, for we are going to be visiting another Kith, another Changeling. That's it. So, we're ready to explore this strange, mystical world that is parallel to our own, but filled with supernatural dangers. Grab my hand. I've opened the gateway through the gauntlet, heading through the dreaming, to the worlds of Changeling and the world of darkness. I, your host and guide here, 10th average, but will be leading you. Remember, of course, to give me a tip. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and let me know what you think. To the gauntlet go! We've arrived! The world of change. So, we're going to be learning about a interesting, maybe a little bit dangerous Kith thing. The Redcaps. If you're ready, we shall begin. But where are some more sources, and especially mechanics, for playing a Redcap? I can let you know all about them, but there is always little bits of detail here and there. Well, certainly the Kith book, Redcaps, all about them really helps. The player's guides also help, and of course, any of the core books, like the C20, the 20th anniversary Changeling book here, are all really great sources of which you to research and look into Redcaps. They're the only ones, but they're pretty good ones. Alright, now that we have that out, we can start chatting about the Redcaps, learning about them, and knowing when to be cautious. Basically, Redcaps spawn from fear and violence. They are the Kith King closely tied to nightmares. And they gain their name for their traditional headwear, a white cap dyed red in their victim's blood. Their quick anger, and of course, ugly. Oh. Their Thalion is the guest, which we'll talk about in the future. We have to look back at their history. The history of the Redcap. Well, here's the thing. When we look into the primordial days, the early days, the Redcap of those days may look very different than the one we know now. But they are creatures of nightmare, fear, anger. So of course they existed in the wild times. Fear was everywhere. They remember the ancient times. Basically, Redcaps believe themselves to be, in a way, children of winter. They do not fear it like others. They believe it. They know it's going to return, and they are ready for it. They are beings that understand winter and love. But in the early world as it was, they were, at first on their own, predatory creatures, still had their appetite. But they ran into other Kiths. And these interactions, well, were mixed back. It was still a savage world. And fighting, well, fighting is one thing. Fighting to destroy is another thing. So if you don't tangle with a Redcap, you're probably fine. You don't have to be friendly, but, basically, don't mess with the Redcap. Because fighting hard isn't the same as fighting well. And don't pick a fight you can't win. Important things. So, Redcaps just basically kept to themselves, made no pretense about their eating habits, and really didn't make themselves more appealing. Everybody just did their thing in these early days, in the primal natures of things. It was bloody. Now, there was some organization of Kiths that began to happen in these early days. And the Redcaps went behind the trolls, they say at first, because they were big, and no one else wanted to do it. So, when the trolls were basically big, muscular things, hey, strength, they could show off, which will be important when we talk about Redcaps. They wanted it. They were in charge. When the Seelie showed up, they had their social structures, their idea of society, their orders, their sets, and stuff like that. And there was definitely a dislike of that. To create a new status quo. Force their ideas down everybody else's throats. So there was fighting. But basically, it's the idea of the Seelie did win, eventually. Those that fought against them did because they didn't want to listen to them. They liked the status quo. But the other Fae didn't really fight a lot, and then the Redcaps that may have done it didn't matter. And so the world was split apart into their duchies, into their baronies, into their areas of power, and the nobility came. This is the start. Of course, Redcaps are doing their things, and this is the kind of time they get their hat. There's a merit badge. Died in a way that made others see that they can handle themselves in anything that comes. And anybody that saw the red cap on Redcap knew not to mess with them. Granted, it's a special ritual, not as easy to make it, because they're, dried blood is brown and crusty. It doesn't really make a good fabric dye. So they have a special ritual that dyes it, the red that you see in a red cap. So, if you do that special ritual, if you've done the right things, it always comes out that right shade of red you're looking for. Perfect. Now we reach the time of the Shattering. And there are 3 big events, according to the Redcaps, in Kith history. And the Shattering is a big one. Well, first off, there was the Seelie coming over and taking over. Then there was coming back. We'll talk about that, of course. And then they're running in when the Shattering, the Seelie running. Basically, Redcap are one of the few that ever talks about the time before Seelie, and the big one that kind of has a lot of stuff going on is, of course, them running away and leaving them, the Shattering. The Redcap saw it coming. No one understood it. No one really listened. The Seelie had their avatorial things. Mortals knew, they wanted mortals to know something strange and wonderful was just around the corner. They wanted to go near it. And they did that, too busy doing these things, handing out their titles. Got greedy. But in the end, everything happens. It happened. They left to Arcadia, leaving those behind. It's the age-old, don't have to outrun a bear, you just have to outrun your friend. And in this case, everybody left behind was the friend being left behind. And you just gotta deal with it. You have to figure out a plan. And so doing the Changeling way, when that was there, that was what it had to do. It happened. Not everybody made it. They had to get together. They had to work together. Redcaps didn't complain. Not at all. They want winter back. They want the old ways back. And this is a cold snap, in their case. Years went on. And here's where we get to Redcaps as we know them coming into existence. Why? Well, people didn't want to leave their freeholds. These places of their glamour, their protection, saving them from the outside world, from everything that was happening. So the messengers were kind of going back and forth, and they really weren't there. And these are the early days of the interrogation. Basically, there was a lot of productivity. Survivals either just basically had to be friendly with everyone, or tell off everyone and do it for themselves. Redcaps were tell off everyone and do it for themselves. They weren't going to make nice. They left these safety, went out on their own. In the post-Shattering exploration, in that early days, it was Redcaps finding out places. And communication wasn't great when they sent it out there. Maybe there's all clear. The landscape was screwed up too. So not only are we now a more dangerous area for changelings to travel in, landscape screwed up, and chimerical creatures that were also messed up were out there. Nightmares taking shape that were hungry and hurting, and it was a bad combo. Dreaming was dangerous for a lone Kith king, even a Redcap. You drop a guard down, boom, you're gone. And so what happened was, Redcaps became monster hunters. Because these creatures were out there, they're going to have to fight them, they'd learn to fight. You can get a seat in your butts, wait for trouble, or get rid of the monsters that could scare you, to kill them. And soon, there were monsters that were too powerful for a lone Redcap, dragons and such. and they started working together, forming bands to fight these things. And with this, Redcaps evolved into something in Fae society. And these monster hunting teams became the Redcap Corby, the organization, groups, the gangs of Redcaps. So yeah, Corby's got stronger. Redcaps settled down as the muscle, the monster killers. They found a job. They're still outside, but if someone needs protection, if you need to kill some kind of monster, some kind of thing like that, you call on Redcaps. So yeah, with strength, merit. You didn't have to like them. You didn't have to agree with them. You didn't have to, stick around them. But when you needed something done, you called those Redcaps. There was no protection for the city, and no one else wanted to protect with them, and so the head person of these small pre-Corby groups became their bosses, and their lieutenants under them. They earned those positions. They formed these groups. Now, we reach factories. Industrial Revolution. We have Redcaps, how they work in society as it is, in Kithane society, and with the establishment of factories in the Industrial Revolution, Redcaps loved it. How could this be a boon for Fae? Well, it was full of dreams. Rip stuff of the land, feed the factories day and night. These were abuzz the kind of dreams that Redcap live on. They went to mill towns, mining towns, became pit bosses, factory foremen, teamsters. They wanted to feed the beast. And granted, anywhere they could, they would have. They knew this was going to break apart eventually. Hadn't about. But of course, they also then went west. When the New World was settled, they traveled there. More factories, more workshops, more stuff. Of course, there was a melting pot. Everybody that traveled there had their own circumstances. Even the streets of New York. And they also knew that the Nanahe were already here, had been pushed back before the Redcap even arrived and crossed over. But they knew there and weren't happy about it. So the Redcaps tried to stay with the cities. The farms. They weren't welcomed necessarily. We reach the modern age, the 20th century. And we have the big wars, the beginning of the 20th century. Redcaps didn't like that. The saying that it makes as much sense of the slaughter of the buffalo and who were left to rot. There has to be point to slaughter. Redcaps deal in murder and hunger, but not genocide. There's a difference. So the big wars, both of them, were outside what the Redcap wanted. Something a little too crazy for even then. 1969. The moon, the resurgence, the city returning. Yeah. And no one really was very happy about them returning after they'd abandoned everything. And what did they bring? Assassination and terror. Stuff like the Knight of Iron Knives that Redcaps would consider cowardly. David Archery came along, helped turn the tide against the commoners. Redcaps didn't really enjoy this. History is written by the winners and survivors, and survivors are generally more active. So fun time came to the end with Argery, the killing part. He had presence, played straight. Redcaps gave him a chance, and he did best for those. He did his best, but put those Antiquarian City nobles who couldn't give a rest. So he didn't succeed awfully. High King disappeared, everything went to hell. He was keeping the city in check, keeping the commoners from their throats. Old garbage is happening again. Redcaps gave it a shot. Won. They told Artie they'd be good, the others so they sandbagged him for talking to them. It gets ugly. The Accordance War was just a warm-up, and the main event, well, Redcaps are ready for it. So, let's talk about being in it. Well, first off, let's talk about the things that other people think about Redcaps. They think they eat everything on sight. They think they're going to be wacky funsters who munch on anything for a laugh, or they're evil monsters, hate everyone else, are born spitting tacks and eating 2x4s for breakfast, and dye their caps in the blood of things they can kill. Only one of those, the last one, comes even close to knowing anything about a Redcap. All of that stuff, just a mess. Nothing, doesn't understand. So, yes, a Redcap is a particular group. Why are they red? Yeah, that's kind of like, yeah. It's just part of their way. Redcaps basically have this thing. They don't hold illusions about themselves. They are who they are. They know where they came from. They don't make baloney stories that make themselves feel better about their place in the universe. And they don't try to blow smoke up anybody's asses. They recognize that, and you'll do fine. That's the first rule of dealing with their kind. So basically, they're going to tell you straight. Understand that. So what are some big things about them? Hunger. They are hungry. They exist to devour anything they can get their hands on, don't care if it's still moving when they hit the first bite. Why? It's what they are. They are hunger personified. Primarily, it's eat, drink, fart loudly kinds of hunger, but it can also be more abstract. Hungers that don't come from the gut. You can figure that out, you've got some big stones. How about their bullying, that they seem to have? Why do they push people around? Because they can. It's a primary drop. Move in a straight line, and don't do it. And if you don't like someone standing in their way, you just push through them. If you're there, they're going to push you out. If you push back, they'll respect you, but then they'll flatten you anyway. Do they respect authority? Sure. If it's earned. It takes a lot of work to earn it, as far as a Redcap is concerned. But don't bluff. They sniff out trouble. They don't like it when they find it. Be fair and square and you're okay. But don't bluff and come clean. If you do bluff and then come clean, don't expect to smile. Bad attitude. Everybody hates them. They're no fun at parties. They spend people running away. They don't play nice. They're really big in a polite society. If others don't want you around, why behave? Life's short. Just suck it up. So, 2/3 of what most Kith can call bad attitude is honesty. They don't use flowery words. And just if they're being mean by what they say, being honest, if you can't handle that, sucks to be you. They'll call it as they see it. And of course, their hats. They don't, well, do they all wear that red cap? No, it's not nailed to their head. They like to wear them. It's like hearing a rattlesnake. It's dangerous and it's in front of you. You've walked into its territory. So not everyone wears a cap, but you can ensure that every red cap has one. It could be a baseball cap, it could be a homemade cap, doesn't matter. It's wear for the right occasions. It's their formal dress. Where the red cap needs the hat, needs the cap. They need to show it off. So, they tend to be stocky, with grayish mottled skin, thick, bandy legs. There are Seelie bloodcaps that have hard, bloodshot eyes, skeletal noses, rubbery, wrinkled faces, and their ghoulish mouth filled with yellow, crooked, flat teeth used for grinding and grit. That's the general appearance of the Redcap. As a childing, unseelie Redcaps are bullies, tyrants of the playground. They're more sadistic than deadly, and the pain of others fills them with glee. If you happen to be a Seelie child, they're desperate for acceptance and will eat anything on a dare that makes friends. Jokes tend to be grotesque and often understand why people don't get it. Unseelie wilders are worse. Gangsters, vandals, malcontents, living only to ruin the lives of others, even the simplest of ways. Body piercings, tattooings are competitive art forms. They prefer to adorn themselves with needles, chains, bolts, screws. The first piercing is a rite of passage, whether you consent to it or not. The rarer Seelie wilders, we're getting rarer as we go on, are often more involved in things like sports or ventures that let them express their hungers and urges in controlled and acceptable ways. Unseelie grumps earn the respect of the unseelie court, and they demand respect with violence, arrogance, and threats. Some gangsters make the mistake of challenging the old bastards, but few survive. Their prowess in battle is astounding and ruthless. By now, by the grumps, most Seelie Redcaps revert to their unseelie side long before. The call of unseelie is much deeper than Seelie. The very few Seelie grumps you find should not be missed. Their self-control is a thing of legend, and their will so steely that even trolls, few of them, can match them. That would be the Seelie Redcap grump. Here. So, let's talk about their abilities, their frailties. They can eat anything. Dark appetite. They can chew the cards, eat their way through walls. Their teeth are brutally flat, sharp, and hard as steel. Their digestive system is kind of a mystery. They prefer human animal meat, but when hunger strikes, they will eat anything. As long as they can put it in their mouth, they can eat it. Large objects can be chewed into smaller pieces. Digestive, something apparently vile or tough, requires basically some glamour. They can try to eat something in combat. So yeah. And they inflict damage. I'm going to do it. They're also very intimidating, and can even intimidate a chimera. So, keep that in mind. But no one likes a Redcap. That's their frailty. Bad attitude. Not even other Redcaps. There are some freeholds that Ox tribes will kill them on a general principle. Part of their stigma. They basically are terrible sort of situations. Let's talk Seelie Redcaps, because this is one of those things. There's legends that there are no Seelie, that all the unseelie ones got them, knocked them off, got rid of the problem, but no, there are Seelie lines. But with the Redcaps, the line between Seelie and unseelie is something that can change. It basically depends from one week to the next in some cases. It's the basically fitting in somewhere doesn't always exist. Logistics of it. So yeah. But that does mean there are Seelie Redcaps. It's not the most common. And things in the nowadays, in the modern era, lean towards the unseelie even more. But yeah, I mean, on the Seelie side, you have a lot of political situations, dealing with things, being treated poorly, being mad at a lot of stuff, so it does drive a lot more to the unseelie side. So, yeah. Not that they aren't out there, and especially younger Redcaps tend to be this. But of Seelie types, there's two categories. Jokes and badasses. Jokes, basically, fat, jolly, bakers, food tasters, try to get a laugh, try not to offend anyone. You eat anything on a bet, a dare, on cue just to get attentions. A lot of childing start out with this. Try to get friends. Basically, your average Redcap has no respect for them. Jokers. Badasses, on the other hand. They're knights, monster slayers, court champions, bodyguards. Jobs that require an edge. They're disciplined. Taking their primal urge, beating the crap out of them because they can, and taking on acceptable targets. The Seelie of the rest of the Kith can have respect for. These are the ones that, any Redcap can have respect for. Even if they're working for Seelie, and your average Redcap is unseelie, because they don't take a crap. They shoot from the hitch, march with their own beat, and even if it's within bounds of what most Redcaps consider pointless, they're doing it. Let's talk eating. This is important. Redcaps eat a lot. They eat everything they can get their hands on. Anything in their snares, in their nets. They eat stuff alive. Things that used to be alive. Things that were never alive. Things that could possibly be alive in the future, but they don't really want to stick around and find out if it will become alive. That's just something outside of the realm of populism. And they're not vacuum cleaners. They can't just turn it on and off and expect to clean everything up it starts. They eat, hungry, but it's also kind of messy. So what do they eat? Everything. That's the short answer of the question. They're omnivores. Animal matter, vegetable matter, mineral matter, gray matter. They're not picky, though. So, that comes to the question, do Redcaps eat people? Or other Kithcane? Forgetting mortals, sots, as they call them. The Fae are worried about their own skin first. There are legends and stories of how the Redcaps got their names, and their worst nightmares can be true, so, yes. They do. They do. They do a big mouths, but not particularly big. Basically, the size of their mouths would allow them to swallow a raccoon. But there are exceptions, too. So here's where an interesting thing is. Just to... basically, there's mechanics for you can swallow another thing whole. Especially a Kithcane. Now, swallowing another Kithcane whole basically hurls them out into the mundane world. Don't ask about that, they just happen to be there. Unable to assume their fame name for a year and a day. It's very difficult to do that. But basically, Redcap could swallow another Kithcane whole, and they just lose their fame name, their face side, for an entire year. Basically, they're kind of like have a death to that side. For a while. But they might also not swallow you in one bite. It might take a little bit. You might dangle this on the outside. So yeah. Basically, Kithcane killed this way suffers the penalties for chimerical death. But yeah. They turn them back to their mortal seed. Yeah. If a Redcap ends an enemy this way, they don't get any immediate benefits, but often get the approval of the peers. But there really isn't a reason to do that, just to swallow. But also the person could theoretically cut themselves out of the gullet. Basically, try to get themselves to escape when being swallowed. If they manage to cut themselves out before they are digested, they still suffer some penalties for being mostly swallowed. Basically, a delay on resuming your fame name for about a month. Anyway, another thing that the Redcaps can do for a snack is, well, get rid of evidence. If you killed someone in battle, hey, they're an opponent. Maybe during the fight you tore off a nice chunk. You can just go to work on a corpse. It can be demoralizing to opponents. It can take them 3 turns to devour a full-sized corpse. Barring complications like armor and stuff like that might be a little harder to shoot. Kithcane killed this way find themselves in the mundane world without a memory, and again, that's when you get a lack of fame name for a month. When they're killed and devoured, rather than just devoured alive. Yeah. Mortals, regardless of enchanted or not, are dead. So, while Redcaps are less careful about chewing down on a Kithcane, they are much more careful about chewing on a Sot. Because they can't afford to make a mistake. There. If they screw up with a human, it's on. Making a mistake with your own kind, well, yeah. Also, if they swallow things, and their items are instantly destroyed, except if they're magical items, then they could just survive within them and will be there intact until they're ever cut open. And eating mortals or other Kithcane is not a big thing of popularity, and oftentimes, actually, will get you basically a price on your head, especially the mortal side. Local courts don't really like it when you devour other people. Especially the alive part of it. I mean, the dead's probably pretty bad, but if the Redcap goes what they call cannibal, it's not really looked well upon. So, be careful about crossing the line. And so the thing is, Redcaps basically seem to know when one has crossed the line, but even Seelie Redcaps won't rat them out. Basically, Redcaps are Redcaps, So, even if you know a Seelie Redcap, and they know of an unseelie that's... Yes, they're not going to say anything about it. Up to you. So yeah, eat anything. If it fits in your gullet, you can take a bite, you can eat it. That's their lunch. And you're a messy eater, you're not going to be clean. Yep. Redcaps. Let's talk about their organizations. Hey, they have them. We talked about this already a little bit when we talked about their history and the arrival of our very good, the evolution of the court. Because you got to know how this is organized, these bands. So, Redcaps do prefer the company of other Redcaps for a number of reasons. They don't have to worry about offending anybody, especially with table matters or accidentally eating a pet or something or other crap like that. Hey, they all understand. They all do that. And they're with people that understand and have the hunger. So, they have that same feeling. So your average Corby is basically an organized riot without pitchforks and torches. It's a simple structure. One's in charge and everyone else listens. If the Corby gets big enough, there are lieutenants who give orders for the boss and don't take crap from anybody else. Orders from the top, go to lieutenants, down the line. If anybody gets uppity, they're kicked into place real fast. And you better thank the boss for the privilege of being kicked in line. So, if someone is out of line, isn't hammered back to the place, that's trouble for the boss. So, yeah. If they don't keep discipline, there won't be much boss left. So turnover at the top can be fast, fierce, or non-existent. A good boss can hang around for years or even longer. So the boss keeps the Corby running, keeps everybody happy, keeps their fair share, keeps them going to hell in a handbasket more than once a week. They divide booty, make sure food's on the table, divvy up chores. Their rules, law, as long as they can enforce it. They make battle plans, and in a scrap, give words to charge or retreat. Give them a lip during the battle, you're asking for it. That's punishable by being kicked out of the band at best or death at worst. It's harsh, but while blades are swinging, that is not the time to basically fight against the boss. There's a time and a place for that. So obedience during a fight especially, you do that or if it's in collapse. So general acclamation of the Corby, a boss becomes a boss. This is after a new boss beats the stuffing out of the old one, but not always. Sometimes the old boss step down because they're tired of the hassle. Sometimes they move on, get taken out. There are a lot of reasons. So new bosses there unanimously. It is important to note, though, there are female bosses. Toughness that counts, not the plumbing, and Lady Redcaps fight dirty. Be respectful. Boss who falls down the job ain't a boss for very long. If you're handing out loot unfairly, you're gone. If you can't leave in a scrap, gone. Can't keep food on the table, gone. Lieutenants. They're the boss's best buddies. Ones they can count on to watch their back, not put a knife through. When they speak, when the boss isn't around, they speak for the boss. But also when the boss says frog, they hop. They report directly to them. They keep morale up, keep the boss apprised of troublemakers, all the things the boss should know. In return, they get a share and a half of everything that comes to the court, and the right to order people around when the boss is indisposed. There are never more than 2 lieutenants in a court. If they get big enough that they need 3, the band usually splits and one lieutenant becomes the boss of a new band. And they go far apart from each other. These migrations can be legendary. The split of these Corbies. It doesn't happen very often. The lieutenant could be stripped of their post if they're insubordinate, failing to communicate what the boss do, and kind of mistakes like that, basically. So you could lose your position. And then the rest of the Corby is, of course, just the general lads and lasses of the group. Spend your time sparring, scrapping, scourging, eating, the rough and tumble of it. That's the way it is. And if you don't like the way the Corby is, you can walk out the door anytime. Little chance they're going to ask you to come back, and nothing keeping you around. No one wants an unhappy Redcap. So, letting you walk is the best thing you can do. It's very easy to leave a Corby. Like that. It's rowdy there, but yeah. Joining an existing band, that's where you get a test. The boss decides that they get a chance at all, and lieutenants keep things on the up and up. So basically, they decide a chance, they keep it on the up and up. Remember, honesty is important in this case. The initiation range from having to beat up every member of the Corby, one by one, in an eating contest, to bring back the head of a chimerical critter that's being a pest of the dead. The boss stays out of it, though, and it's a smart move. The way the band sets the test is a good indicator of whether or not they want the newbie on board. So the boss can take a step back. If they have lieutenants in there, they're going to help out. If not, the rest of the band kind of passes. But the boss decided if they got a chance. Basically, the boss is like, you get your chance, go prove it to everyone else. If they think you can be here and join us, I'm okay with you being here. Now, there's one last role, I should say. Cook. There's a rare occasion that Corby has a designated cook. They put food on the table, make sure everything tastes good. Their word is law in the kitchen and outranks the boss. Other than that, still just a band. But you don't make enemies of the cook. You're not getting something great. And there are plenty of Redcaps that would fight their way into a band with good cooks. Because they know, and they also know upsetting the cook has been grounds for removal of more than one boss. So, they got a cook. Keep them happy. One all gangsters ever seen. There are simple rules, though, too. You gotta remember, boss word is law, and everyone else, excluding lieutenants, is equal. Sure can fight, you won't hurt. You stand by your brothers and sisters. You do your equal work, your equal share. Also, keep in mind there's a hideaway. Basically, because Corbies don't spend a lot of time together. The local countryside really can't support their habitat. So they gather and then go their separate ways in the interim. They have a place, freehold, hutch, center of the city, that they can get together, get some regular meetings, a place where the lads and lasses can keep from time to time safe from unpleasant surprises and traps. And they can also have those unpleasant surprises and traps for unwelcome visitors. So it's got loot that they gathered, weapons, food, trinkets, trophies, whatever else has caught their eyes. A lot of pool tables lined up there, larder with a lot of food. That's how it goes. But yeah, that's basically the Redcaps. There are some more stuff I could talk about with them, but I think that's a really good summary about how Redcaps work and how they survive. And again, there are those that go solo. Lone Redcaps are out there. Not all of them are part of Corbies. This could be, certainly speaking, a warrior that's working for the Seelie courts on their own. It could be plenty of reason for Redcap either to be in a group of them or out on their own. But Redcaps are interesting because they're born of anger, fear, nightmares. They are these very negative creatures in a lot of ways. Creatures of hunger, creatures of anger, creatures of violence very often. That's a Redcap. But, again, they're straightforward a lot about it, what it is. And I think that's one of those things that you have to respect about them. They're going in a straight line. Maybe it'll go through you. You just have to find out. Alright. I will leave things there. Remember, check out all my other stuff, whether it's over live on my Twitch side or over my YouTube side. I have a schedule that goes up on my social media, which is a great place to see updates to that schedule, what's going on in the week, what's going on with me. That's, of course, my Discord, Blue Sky, /Twitter, and I do put some stuff up over on the YouTube channel. Remember, check out all my other tabletop stuff, whether it's live or over on YouTube, like this stuff, that's discussing tabletop, any live plays of TTRPGs, which I've done some World of Darkness, D&D, and Pathfinder. You can always go check out any of those that are going on. And yeah, I think that'll be it. I hope you enjoyed, and until the next time you hang out with me, we talk about changelings, or other places in the World of Darkness, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.